Gonna do my girl. புல தமிழ் தெரியாதா? ஹிந்தில
ஒன் செகண்டா.
चांद को के नीचे छुपा के लाई तेरे लिए दुनिया से नजरें चुरा के
मांग मेरे खाई तू ही बता जाऊं मैं कहाँ किसकी लगी भाई आके बता रहा हूँ जो यहाँ
फिकर आजा इधर बीच पे लगा ले तू ढूंढा
1 2 3 4 get on the dance floor.
morning. Welcome back. Oh, that's loud. Welcome back for those of you who have been gone and vacationing and enjoying life and living life outside of the COA family umbrella. We're glad to have you back. Some of you have been here all summer, and this is just a continuation of what we've been doing. But this is an exciting day in the life of a college because we're all back together. We've got the family back together. We are looking forward to a new academic year. One of the things I've always enjoyed as a faculty member, it's less so in an administrative role, but there's a new start to the classes, to the students, a renewed energy and vigor. And I hope you're feeling that this morning, and I hope you enjoy that as your students come back and as our students get back into our offices and SSEM, etc. So we're so glad to have you back. So glad that we're starting a new year. So glad that we can be here face to face in person. Please, as you have done, naturally now, I think as part of us, spread yourself out. You know, COVID is not gone. It's just hiding. It's coming out again, I'm sure. But we do have masks in the lobby. Please make sure that you wear one. If you're not comfortable not wearing one, you can go get one, or just be as safe as you can be. But this is the new world. I've said several times, multiple times since I got here in 2019, the world has changed. It's changed many ways, many times, and I got a feeling it's not quite done. So we're seeing a lot of things go on, and we're going to talk about a little bit of those, a few of those this morning. So as I like to do with these presentations and convocations, I have a little swag to give away, and there's no reason to rhyme. It's going to be whatever pops into my head at whatever time it pops in. So it struck me this morning that the first thing I wanted to see was who has served the longest time here at College of the Alamo. So I don't know a good way to do this, but who has, if you're 10 years, that doesn't cut it around here. Who's got 30 or more years at COA? We got a couple of you, I can't see, so you're going to have to help me. Who has 35 years COA? Does anybody have a hand up? I don't see any. So between the 30s, how long have you been here? 30. Just made the cut. That's great. How about it back there? 33. 33. Can anybody beat 33? 34 this month beats 33. So what I thought you guys needed, and I've got one, is a little blanket if you need a nap at some point. Been around and done that, Dean, can you? That's a little picnic blanket that we gave away at the COA Dare opening. So 34 years, if you need to find you a shady spot on campus and have a little nap with your stay, you've got something to stretch out on. So let's go ahead and get started, and we've got a lot of ground to cover, and you have a lot of afternoon meetings and trainings, and it's going to be a full day, and I hope it's something that is meaningful to you. But before we begin, I want to thank the foundation. Catherine, thank you, and please pass our thanks on to the foundation for breakfast. Food Line donated the juices, I think, outside, and the foundation has graciously once again provided breakfast for you all, and we appreciate that for the foundation. And one of the initiatives, the endeavors that we're going to undertake this year is to really try to bring our foundation and our board of trustees together. They have not been at odds, they just have not met together in a while, and they have not been on the same page, and we're going to fix that, Catherine and I, and our board of trustees and our foundation board. So we started a fellowship together a little bit, and we're going to have some joint meetings, but this is not the only thing that the foundation does to support the college. There are many, many things, and we've got to do a better job of helping remind ourselves of the importance of the foundation. We would never be in the two buildings that we're in this year, and we'll talk about in a little bit, without the help of the foundation, fundraising, and some of the things that we have going on there. So Catherine, please pass that on to our foundation board. Let me also introduce our board of trustees members who are with us this morning. So we've got several trustees that are here. We had a meeting last night, so Dr. Sharp said we needed cots. I can give you a blanket, Dr. Sharp, but no cot room on campus. Maybe that can be on our next building. But let me introduce our folks. We've got David Harris, who is our David, if you stand up or wave or something, I think I can see you out there. David was elected the chair of the Board of Trustees last night. And giving up that role was Patty Kersey, who looks 100 pounds lighter and prettier this morning. So I want to thank Patty for her leadership over the last couple of years, and she's been instrumental in helping us to think about how to bring the foundation and the Board of Trustees back together, and I'm sure David's going to keep that going. Most of you know Mr. Bob Pittman, who is also our trustee, but also our alumni board leader, and has really done a great job of trying to corral some of our alumni, and we need your help in that. We're going to be working through that with a number of initiatives, and you all are connected to a number of folks here in our region, and we need to get them involved in our foundation, our alumni, board, etc. And we've got some hopefully fun events planned that will help us do that over the next 12 months. We have Dr. Andrea Williams somewhere. I don't know. There she is. Dr. Williams, welcome. Dr. Williams is one of our newest trustees. She was sworn in last night. Let's see. Paul O'Neill will be here a little bit later. He's a former trustee, but he's going to be a speaker this morning. He's served on the board for a long time, and I'll introduce him a little bit later. But he's going to talk a little bit about the importance and the changing dynamics that we've seen through the 20-plus years on the board, and it should be an interesting conversation with him in a little bit. Dr. Anthony Sharp is here, and we appreciate Dr. Sharp's service. And then Ms. Catherine Felton, who is also one of our, there she is, sworn in last night and a brand new board member. So we're so thankful to have the support of the Board of Trustees. You all know that they have many important roles, but they work on policy, they hire and fire the president, they approve our budget. And so they provide an excellent service, and we don't pay them a whole lot, we actually pay them nothing. So 0, and we're going to double it this year so that they get a pay raise. But they give up their time, and the community college system is stronger because we have local boards of trustees, and we have the largest board of trustees in all of the 58 colleges. So we have 20 members, 19 are appointed, and we have the student ex officio, and by far that's the largest board. But we have an excellent board, and we're so glad to bring new folks on. And always sad to see people leave the board, but it's always great to bring new folks on, and we continue to have excellent leadership, and I'm thankful for them every day. I also want to introduce some staff folks and faculty folks that have been working on your behalf. So when I call your name, staff council folks, will you please stand and be recognized too? Andrew DeFeo is our president this year. Where's Andrew? I saw him earlier. Is he in here? Back there, I can see Andrew. Thank you for your leadership. Vice President Cheryl Griffin. Where's Cheryl? Is she here? Thank you, Cheryl. Anna Boyce is our treasurer this year. Thank you, Anna. Gertha Bond Thomas is our secretary. Thank you, Gertha. And we have 3 representatives, Michelle Munden. Michelle, thank you. Solomon Brothers. Solomon, let's see these lights on. And then Shelley Russ, also a representative. Thank you. Folks, the staff council has done a great work over the last few months and has get through the years that I've been here, but really doing a good job of getting everybody involved and doing some appreciation events and helping us to do some things on different campuses. And I don't want to undervalue or underestimate their influence. So if you get an opportunity to thank them personally, please do so. They've got a lot of wonderful ideas, and they're working to make life here at COA better every day, and I appreciate that about them. And then I forgot one ex officio member, sorry, and that's Rena Jackson, but I bet Rena's not here with us this morning. But Rena is also the former president, immediate past president, so she's involved as well. Faculty Senate members, current officers, Beth Egbert is the president. Where's Beth? Is she here? There's Beth. Dr. Patricic, Belinda Patricic, vice president. And Leslie Lippincott from Chihuahua. Jeff Lippincott. And we appreciate the work that they do too, and appreciate their leadership. Folks, it is a community effort at a college. I'm going to talk a little bit about that this morning in my comments, but we appreciate the Senate, staff council, and hopefully we'll have some exciting things going on in both groups this year as we continue to work through some continuous improvement opportunities and some communication opportunities and some celebration opportunities, etc. So, I'm also going to read a list and introduce our newest employees to you, and we have quite a list. So, we are going to ask you to stand, please, and be recognized. And we have gone back a little way. Some of these have been, you'll say, some of these have been here a while. Yes, they have, but we have not sure that we've covered that in a group meeting because we haven't had as many group meetings as we might have in the past just because of the world in which we live today. So when I call your name, if they're here, I'd ask them to stand. Jeffrey Scott Davis, Facilities Maintenance Technician. Is Scott here? He's not here. Jerry Overton, Aviation Systems Technology Instructor. Maybe we're putting all the newbies to work today. Scott Stokel, Academic and Financial Aid Advisor. Thanks, Scott. Welcome, Scott. Heidi O'Neill, Workforce Development and Career Readiness Coordinator. And Heidi, I'm going to sing her. James Boyce, Groundskeeper Maintenance Technician. There he is, right there. Crystal Woodley, Assistant Registrar. Apparently she already has a fan club. That's excellent. Crystal, let's go. Holly Staples, Director of our Small Business Center. Here's Holly. Douglas Smith, Instructor of Mathematics. Doug's back on the back row. He needs friends. Y'all have friend Doug today. Paulette Wagner, Instructor of Mathematics. Antonio Williams, I saw him a second ago. There he is. Antonio is our Director of Business Recruitment. Dr. Catherine D. Hart, our Foundation Executive. Crystal Corbin, Business Office Specialist. Judith Aiello, I'm not sure I said that correctly. How do you say your last name, Judith? Aiello. I'll try not to screw that up in the future. If I do, forgive me. Tammy Sawyer, Director of Communications and Marketing. And hopefully you've seen a lot of the stuff that Tammy's been putting out with Dolphin Weekly and some efforts to keep you all informed. I see some head nodding. And if you haven't seen that, please let Tammy know so we can make sure it's not going to spam or whatever. We are trying to make sure that you get information. A lot of the same information that the board's getting, that's going to how many thousand people now, Tammy? 14,000 people every week. So we're sharing the news of what you all are doing. So that's an exciting thing. Logan Britt, custodian. Where's Logan? Is he here? So welcome Logan, good to see you. Maria Mandis, Abeto coordinator. Melanie Stroman, coordinator of accessibility and student conduct. Where's Melanie? Adam Cahoon, instructor welding. Welcome, Adam. Patrick Barron, instructor of art. Welcome, Patrick. Jeffrey Handley, graphic designer, webmaster. There's Jeffrey. William Howard Sutton, instructor of welding technology. Welcome. Shante Thomas, success coach. Kristen Children, Mueller's creative assistant in communications marketing, and Gina Southall, instructor of English. Welcome, glad to have you. So, a lot of new folks, changing times here at the college, and we welcome all of you, and we're going to talk a little bit about where we've been, where we are, and where we're going this morning, which we are always want to do at Convocation. But hopefully, you, in just a few short years, will be able to get a blanket because you've been here 34 years. Hopefully, y'all make it that long. All right, I mentioned today we're going to have a guest speaker as we're back together, former Board of Trustee member, and I'm going to introduce him a little later. We did change the agenda a little bit this morning because of some travel plans. We're going to have a session this afternoon with Sarah Morrell, management analyst with the North Carolina Department of Natural and Cultural Resources. And what Sarah's going to talk about is our records retention policy and some of the things that we should be keeping, how we should be keeping it. That's something that we don't pay enough attention to at colleges many times, but it can get us in trouble down the road. So it's just one of those compliance issues that we need to make sure that we're dotting the I's on and crossing the T's, and we all have a role. So you'll hear more about this from Sarah and others in that department. But she was going to speak this morning, but we're going to save that to this afternoon. And then I wanted to thank our special events committee. One of the things that I was saying, one of the faculty members said to me out in the hallway about the summer graduation, you know, if we put those dates out a little sooner, even folks that are off in the summer could get there for a summer graduation. We're working on those things. And because the world has changed again and we're back together, I think we can predict a little bit better going forward some of the events. So I also wanted to put together a group that could help us plan some special events and get more feedback from you all. And we have a representative group that I want to thank today for their efforts for today and for what they'll be doing this year to help us to get together, to celebrate one another, to come together as the COA family. And so our special events committee is Valerie Mueller. Valerie, thank you. Angela Godfrey Dawson. Where's Angie? Anna Boyce, thank you, Anna. Catherine Duhart, Crystal Woodley, thank you, Crystal. Eddie Warren, Jim Davison, back, Lisa Meads, thank you. Michelle Porticalian, Regina Price, Amy Steinbach, Heidi O'Neill, Amy Sawyer, Dawn Pressman, Mariah Sher, and Shalonda Driver. I want to thank you all for working on events thus far, but also the planning. We've got some exciting things coming up. I'm sorry? Yes, I was about to do that, so thank you for that reminder. We are working with ECSU and NACU to have a cornhole tournament October the 1st. October the 1st. Right now we're planning on it to be at ECSU. So we could do some gathering and some events and some sharing and come together as the COA family and walk those other families. I want to win, but I want a fellowship. But I want to win. So I've told our Board of Trustees maybe we'll have a trustee section, and they're talking about all sorts of things. So I think that's going to be an exciting event, and hopefully something that we can sort of rally around and do some things with. We also have Dawn is working, Mama Dawn, who apparently was called my daughter this week. Somebody in the community thanked me for sending my daughter to a meeting. I was like, what is he talking about? And I realized it was Dawn. So when COA family's a real thing. So we are planning, the city is actually planning an event. Dawn's representing us August the 25th for our students in downtown Elizabeth City. So it's going to be for our students, MACU students, ECSU I hear rumors that they want to throw a pie in my face at some point. No. I told them if they could get Chancellor Dixon to do it, I'd do it too. So she's got to commit before I do. But we'll have fun, and it'll be a time to appreciate our students and welcome them back. And the community wants to have more of a town-gown relationship, which I think is encouraging. So they want to value ECSU, MACU, and of course us here at COA. So, did I forget anything? Facilities, I did forget something. Facilities folks, thank you for getting everything ready, picking up food, taking care of cooling us down. I know we had a broken part, y'all have already taken care of that outside, so thank you so much for what you do. And I want to say, don't the grounds look fantastic? Aren't they looking wonderful? We are so thankful for what you do every day, and we know that we work on beautiful campuses and clean and everything, but it was nice recently. We had, I think it was auditors. It's never fun when auditors come in. It's a necessary evil. It is what it is, and we're glad we have the accountability, but this group of folks travel around a lot of the colleges in the state with regularity, and in our opening session a few weeks ago, they had never been here. They said, wow, we drove up on the main campus here. We were so impressed because you have beautiful facilities. It's nice and clean and welcoming. And we do a lot of places we don't always see that. And that's encouraging. We know we've got some good things going on, but it's encouraging when other people see it and recognize that as well. And I'll tell you though, you probably ain't seen nothing yet. We got a lot of plans for some other things going on this campus and every campus, and it's going to be people-centered. It's going to be student-centered, gathering-centric, so that we have more spaces for you all to get together with students, with each other, and students together. So, lots of good things, but thank you, facilities folks, for helping us get there. So, with that, introductions, welcome, recognitions, anything else I forgot? Dr. Carter, anything I should have said that I didn't say? She'll think of something in a minute. But I'm going to go ahead and get into my State of the College presentation, almost on time, actually. So, right about on time. And then we'll take a little break and do some announcements then as well. So, one of the first things I'm going to say to you is, I'm a walker and a talker. So, when I have to read the list, I stand at the podium. When I'm talking from a presentation on a walk, I hope that's not too distracting for you, but it is what it is. My brain is connected to my feet. I learned that in the classroom, and it still remains true. Can you see the screen? Okay. In the back, can you see the screen? Good. Can you see the screen well? This is a tiny little screen. I hate this little screen. I didn't realize how small it is until I came to one of the high school graduations in here, and they were projecting stuff up, and probably it's my advanced age and eyes, but I was like, man, that stinks. We got to do better. And we are going to do better. We're going to get better projection. We're going to get some lights, some curtains replaced over here, and upfit this room a little bit so that you can use it more effectively for pinnings and celebrations and meetings and community trainings and all the things that we want to do. So that's one of the projects that we'll have going. So I've already welcomed our Board of Trustees, but I don't want to give them the big head because, well, that's not good for any of us. But this Board of Trustees does a wonderful job of representing you and the college in the area, and we have representation from all 7 of our counties. For you new folks, we serve more counties than any other community college in the nation. In the state, not the nation. Got where I was for a second. So that's a big deal. You got 58 colleges. We have the largest board because we have a large area to represent. They do a fantastic job. And one of the things that we've started to do is have sort of town hall discussions after our board meetings, so I could update you all on what was on the agenda and what they did for you and on your behalf and for the college. So I'm going to start with an update on that. I've already introduced our 2 newest trustees, Dr. Andrew Williams and Ms. Catherine Felton. And then we had a reappointment of Dr. Anthony Sharp. So he signed on for 4 more years, and we are appreciative of that and look forward to All three of them continue to be vital cogs in the Board of Trustees and at the college. And I've already mentioned that David Harris, who's here today, is our board chair. Tommy Fulcher is our vice chair. And many of you have met Tommy already. He's from Southern Shores, and he'll be on campus quite a bit over the next few years, and you'll get to meet him and know him. So let's see. So what did they do? They approved a 3.5% pay raise last night, contingent upon us getting our budget. Yeah, that's great. So that's for our county paid employees too. The state gives us state money. We have to figure out the county money for county paid employees, but the Board of Trustees is supportive of that. The budget for North Carolina will be going to the State Board of Community Colleges next week. Then it'll filter down to us. We'll have a special called meeting, and then once we get all of that, it'll be approved. So we've done it contingent upon no surprises in the budget and getting the budget approved. But it should be coming your way soon. They also approved a performance bonus again, just like last year's plan. So 1,000, yay. So notice that the way we did it this year is it's going to fall right before Christmas. How many of you could use a little extra money for Christmas? So this is based on performance funds. We get performance funds from the state, and we want to put some of that back in the pocket of our faculty and staff. So $1,000 for full-time employees, part-time regular $500, and then adjunct part-time limited staff also can participate in that. And we want everybody to participate. Now the caveat is you had to be employed last year. New people, sorry. This is one of those things that comes from the money you earn for performance, and it's tied to being here when the money was earned. So, but let's keep performing, and we'll keep getting performance bonuses, and you too will be able to participate coming up. Something I'm particularly excited about, also, we have a new policy that was approved last night for personal observance leave. You may have read recently that the governor for state employees passed the Juneteenth or personal observance leave, an additional day of vacation, additional day of leave for personal significance, celebration of something of personal significance. Well, we passed that too. We are not state employees when it comes from the governor like that because we're community college employees, but we have the option then of adopting that. So, faculty, this would be like another personal day for you, so you get this too. And then staff, you get a day of personal observance leave that is in addition to the vacation and personal leave that you get today. So, that's going to be something that you have this month. It can be celebrated on Juneteenth. It can be your birthday. It can be whatever you want it to be, as long as you get that approved through the normal mechanisms and change. So an additional day off is granted. So congratulations to you all. And thank you, Board of Trustees. We also approved some documents that we need to send to the state to get rolling on our newest project. And Dr. DeHart's already been up late scribbling down notes of things we need to do and people we need to meet with from the foundation perspective. But this has been a pretty good month for COA. We got $12.5 million in the second year of the biennium. And I'll tell you that we were told that was a waste of time to ask for that. Don't waste your breath. We got $12.5 million. Nobody else in the system got anywhere near that in the biennium. Some got money. Now, we got left out of the first year of the biennium, where some other colleges got big money. But in the second year, this is a rarity. So, Robin Harris and all of you nursing and allied health and health science folks, thank you for all the work you've done to help us get to this point. So, $12.5 million from North Carolina. $1.5 million we already had from the Connect NC bonds that have been sitting around forever waiting on the project. So we're bringing $14 million, and then not this past Monday, but August 1st, we went to Pasquotank County. They had committed verbally, but had not signed off on how much money they were going to give us, and they signed off on the remaining $11 million. So we have $25 million. Yeah, that's a big deal. So one of the folks is that Paul just walking in? Is that Paul Paul O'Neill? I was just about to talk about him again, so I just saw his profile come in. Paul's going to talk a little bit about this, but this is the importance of our Board of Trustees also and the folks that are friends to the college. Paul had a lot of connections in Raleigh, our legislative folks, and I made trips, I made calls, Robin did presentations, we incorporated others of you in presentations, Katie and Chris and others. But Paul called these folks with regularity and beat them about the head and shoulders. And that's the way you have, the squeaky wheel gets the grease, right? We have to tell our story, and we have to tell it consistently, we have to tell it well and repeatedly. And Paul did that. He's going to talk a little bit about that today. And that's his swan song on the board after 20 plus years, and I think he's leaving quite the legacy behind, and we appreciate that. So thank you, Paul, and we'll talk more later. So that's a big deal. Let me show you a little bit of what this might look like, because we still got to go through, this is preliminary planning, but we still got to go through architectural design and engineering, and, so probably somewhere 2025, hopefully we have a building. So it's going to take several years to get there, but at least we got the money to move forward. So it'll be, I don't know if this will show up. So this is our existing YMCA Owen Center. So the idea would be to put sort of a connector building. So they're connected, but it's not the same, and not in addition to the building. There's a building sitting right beside it that will be connected, is what we're trying to accomplish. And then something like this. It'll change the dynamic of the front of campus and give a true front door to that building and really become a very nice addition to the Elizabeth City campus. After we've seen the beautiful additions to Currituck and Dare this year, hopefully in a few years we'll have this with a state-of-the-art simulation facility inside that a lot of folks will want to use and partner with our health sciences folks on. And that's going to be exciting. So hopefully, it's not tomorrow, so you still have to use the old president's house for a while longer, but at least there is the rainbow at the end with a pot of gold, at least $25 million worth of gold. And if we can't build it for $25 million, we're in trouble, because I can't go back to that, we can't go back to that pot. We're going to have to figure it out, but luckily, costs are abating. They went sky high for a while, and they're starting to level off. Even things that we consume at home are starting to level off. I was reading it the last couple of days, at least some items. Hopefully, we've seen the worst of that inflationary pressure, but we shall see. Quick year in review, and it's not completely inclusive, and I'm not going to try to name every one of the accomplishments that you all achieved, because I will be here the rest of the day reading that and celebrating that. But a couple of things that I did want to remind you of that I've been out in the community talking about this year. And one is that we remain in the list of the best community colleges in the nation. We were number 2 a few years ago, then number 6, I think it was last year. This is a little bit old. I think it still shows this as 2. We are still in the top 50 of the 1,200 community colleges in the nation. I think I saw something the other day, we're in top 30 something. That's a big deal, because there are 1,200 community colleges in the nation, and to be recognized consistently and repeatedly as one of the best in the nation, that's pretty special. So congratulations on that. And we have been beating this one to death as we've tried to get our allied health simulation expansion project going. We have the best nursing program, and that's 4-year, 2-year, and we are blessed to have that. And we may not be number 1 every year. You can't be number 1 every year, but it's nice that we are repeatedly mentioned when you talk about the best outcomes and all the measures associated with the college and our programs. And then, if you're aware of any other list where we're listed too, please share those so that I can put them on these types of slides and remind folks that, we are all that in a bag of chips. You are. And then we were invited this year to compete for the Aspen Prize, which is the top 150 community colleges in the nation get invited to participate and compete for $1 million prize. in prize money, I should say. It's divided a little bit. We did that, and we didn't make the final cut, and that's okay, because we learned some things about ourselves along the way. And it was interesting to see what the Aspen Prize winners have done, and how they have done things differently, how they've investigated their institutions and reinvented them. And we're going to be talking a little bit about that this morning and what that might look like. But everybody else is getting better too. They're trying to get better every day. The world has changed. We need to continue to change if we want to maintain these types of rankings. I will say also that in the Smart Asset ranking this year, North Carolina has been recognized as having the strongest community college system in the country. That's pretty cool, isn't it? So we're the third largest community college system in the nation, but this year and in recent years, we've been among the best, recognized for outcomes, workforce development outcomes, transfer outcomes, success of students, the change in the pay that they earn after they go through some of our programs, and that's pretty good company to be keeping when a lot of North Carolina colleges are in the top 50, and there are 58 of us. And so we've got a lot of people looking at us. That's good, and it's also scary at times because we're under the microscope because people want to see what we're doing and what we're about in North Carolina and at COA. So, other thing that we highlighted this year, just to make sure, especially you new folks, if you haven't seen it, we had an annual economic impact report done. All 58 colleges did because the legislature gave some money to match some money that had been given by the Belk Endowment to allow all of the colleges to look at that impact of the colleges so that we could go to the legislature and ask them with a straight face, why do we get 54 cents on the dollar for what you give the UNC system to do the first 2 years of university education? So we get 54 cents of the funding, 54 cents on the dollar to what the UNC system gets. We need you to see, as a legislature, that we give back to our communities in a lot of ways. Our economic impact, COA's annual economic impact, is $105.3 million. That's a big impact. That puts us as large as the utilities industry in our 7-county region. Of the money that we put back into the economy because of our payroll. Really interesting to look at the payrolls of all of our faculty and staff to the 7 counties. You know, in a county or two, we're not even there in a location, and we might be among the larger employers of people that come to work and provide a lot of the input economically for things that go on in those counties. And I'm not going to go over all these slides. Just wanted to give you a couple of highlights here that come up. So when you look at our operations spending of about $18 million a year, our student spending of about $4 million, alumni impact of about $83 million a year. We have a huge number of alumni that have stayed in this area and continue to give back through their economic activities, how much they're working and buying and spending. Now look, you can go and look at the economic impact of the system as a whole and all of the colleges of the system. And what's interesting is, even though we're not, we have a larger impact than some larger colleges because a lot of our people are still here in the region. So that's fascinating, and I encourage you to take a look at that. But about 1 out of every 33 jobs in our region we support because of the training that we do or the additional training or that type of thing. So that's a pretty big deal. And the legislature has responded, and we had the best budget that we've had in a long, long time, maybe forever, in the North Carolina Community College system. So, is that going to continue? We hope so. But we've got to push that. We've got to advocate for that. We've got to make some clear statements. So the presidents of the North Carolina system have all banded together. We have an organization, and we have our legislative priorities. And those legislative priorities I've shared with you from time to time, and I'll continue to share those as they're updated. But it's faculty and staff salaries. It's closing that gap of how we're funded with the UNC system. You look at the funding we get for capital, the system, 58 colleges are splitting $100 million this year. That's not a lot of money when you split it between 58 colleges, 100 million. Some of the smaller universities got over 100 million just by themselves. And we serve more students at COA than they might. So there's some discrepancies between the UNC system funding and colleges like COA and the community college system. That happens all over the place. But that's something that we're advocating for too. And we're also advocating for something called capacity money. And that means that it would allow us to do some different things and hire some different people in some programs that we want to test out. That's why we're working on some grants and gotten some grants for career coaches that we can put into high school. We're looking at another one that would allow us to bring some folks to our distressed counties to try to help us recruit students, not only for COA, but help them to go to college. The talking point that I've used most this past year is that 40% of North Carolina graduates in any given year don't go to the university, they don't go to the community college, they don't go into the military, we don't really know what happens to them. They're engaged in the gig economy. They might work here for a little while, they might work there for a little while, they'll take a job for a few months, not work for a few months. The world is different. 40-something%. That holds true in our service area too. We have a few counties that are a little below and some that are much higher than 40%. There are many, many opportunities for us to go out and recruit these graduates and help them to connect to good paying jobs. Of course, the problem is, in many ways, that some of these students are going to Hardee's, McDonald's, Chick-fil-A, and getting more money than maybe their mom and dad made in their whole lives per hour. And they don't see the need for what we do. We've got to make sure that we are communicating how we can change their lives, change family trajectories, transform their tomorrows, to put it in our own language, if they come out here and allow us to help them to get to where they could go. So, other things that happened this year. Currituck came online, the two buildings that we added to the campus there. And you notice that we had an original building on the campus. We've got part of this building in the corner here, which is a beautiful facility. If you haven't been out there, you need to get out there and see it. And some of the things that we have done in these buildings that you're going to see is what we're going to bring to our new building and some upfitting that we do here on at COA Elizabeth City campus. So we were thankful to launch that in August, and then this fall we're really launching. We had some classes in the summer in the building, but really going to have some activity now at COA there, and it is a fantastic facility. So one of the things I've asked Paul O'Neill to talk a little bit about is the importance of how the communities view us. This facility was $18.5 million plus. The facility in Currituck, not all ours, but we share a lot of those spaces, with $18 to $20 million in that range. And we got a good portion of the footprint. I just told you that we have $11 million for Pasquotank and a commitment for $25 million. You add that up for a college our size, that's a lot of faith that taxpayers are really, through their representatives, showing you. We didn't have to go out and borrow the money. We didn't have to go out and beg and steal and, hijack. But people are going to be watching us because they've invested in us. And they should expect excellent returns for their investment. And that's what we should intend to do. And so we're so thankful to Currituck and Dare and Pasquotank for what we are doing. And and one other thing, Dr. Carter and some of her folks and some of you all have been involved in this. Just this last week, we got notice that we have a Good Jobs grant. It was a federal grant. And how many were awarded? It was like 33 in the nation. There were hundreds and hundreds of applications. This is going to allow us to do some additional training, and the Workforce Development Board has some money for tuition. So it's a win-win here. We got 970-something thousand. They got close to that. But that's going to allow us to do some training for clean energy, offshore wind. We've got another, Dr. Carter and I about this last night. There's another grant that could be really huge in the future and involve some of the major universities and us, because we are close to the coast. We are able to do some training on wind energy, maritime, clean energy, some of the things that the country and the state are investing in heavily. So while we may not be the manufacturing capital of North Carolina, we do have some things that we can do because of location. And if we gear up to do some of this training, we're going to be well positioned for the wind farm that comes off of Kitty Hawk in a few years. It's supposed to be something like 25% capacity in the next 4 years, I believe it is, 5 years, give or take. So there's going to be a whole industry that is coming. And how many colleges have turbines in their backyard like we do in North Carolina? So it's going to set us apart, I think, and we need to take advantage of that. So I did not put pictures up here, but I want to say also that we've been engaging in a lot of, I call it upfitting, remodeling, if you prefer, of some things at COA Eaton to Juwan also. And one of the things that we're going to be doing there is we are the, I don't know if you know this or not, but we are the landlord, if you will. We lease some property, the building, to the school district. They're going to be moving out of that as their district office, and we're going to reshape that campus. And they're building a brand new high school across the road. What was it, $50 million, some incredible amount of money. So $50+ million, and we're going to work with the county to try to shape that as the educational corridor of the county and do some things through our master planning that we can present to the county and the school district and others, so that that people know that they're on the COA campus, and we're proud of all of our campuses and they have a consistent look. And I think we've made some progress over the last couple of years, but again, we're not where we want to be. We're just on the road to where we want to be, and a lot of good changes are coming, we hope. So that was just kind of where we've been. Let's talk about where we are. And I'm going to show you some slides. I'm going to preface these by saying, excuse me, I know some of you are not going to like these slides. And the reason I know that's from feedback from last convocation. Because some of you said, well, I don't think it's fair to compare us to other colleges. It's absolutely fair. Have you been listening to what I'm talking about? The comparison of being the best is a comparison. The comparison of where we do well, we want to champion, but where we're not doing as well, we want to recognize and be data informed about it. So it's not like raising kids. I don't want to compare Billy to Bobby, but by the same token, we have a lot of investment in COA. We need to be honest with ourselves about where we need to do some work. And that's going to be the theme for the next little bit here in the presentation. You all know by now, I hope, if you've been here, that I like the term data informed, not data driven. I think we can't ignore the art that goes into what we do. So I'm going to show you some slides from last convocation, last time we were together, and I'm going to show you where we are this year. And I'm not going to do some of the individual colleges, but we need to have benchmark colleges that are similar to us, that we can look at and say, if they're getting that good a result, how do we get that kind of result? But we may not be able to, but we never know unless we try. So let me show you some. These are our 58 colleges, and that's kind of washed out to me. I can't really see it well. Hopefully you can see it better than I can. But the data, this is a slide from last year. The world's changed. Enrollments are down. My theme last year was, we're down, but we're not down as much as the average. And that's still true to an extent. So this is a slide from last time we were together. Notice that there were a few flashes. This is curriculum instruction FTE, so curriculum side of the house. This is 1920 to 2021. We were down 4%. Average was 5%. You see, that a lot of down on this in the curriculum. And I only did this because of the change of what's happening with a lot of online stuff and the changes that happened because of COVID. So let's look at it now from 1920-21 to 1920 to this past year. Notice that you start to see some of the institutions are jumping up into the blue. So they've recovered their loss and they've grown some. So they've started to really bounce back. You'll see that we still are not as low as the average in the state, but we've slipped a little more. And you see some of these are doing some interesting things. Some of them are still way down, way down, because it goes all the way to 47% down. So by that comparison, we're doing great. But I don't think that's the comparison we want to make. We want to look at the folks that are moving the needle. And some of these we know are very niche moves that we have chosen not to make at this point. And some of these are doing free tuition and they're using some of the federal dollars, but it's a fading, one-time only kind of thing, because they have no plan and no ability to continue that after the federal money dries up. I also have an issue with that fundamentally because I think people get used to what you charge for something. If you say it's free today, but tomorrow it costs a regular tuition, it's still going to be worth free to a lot of people in their minds. So they don't really have a good plan, in my opinion, a good plan for what happens after the federal money goes away. So we'll see if those hold. They're also looking at retention, because people that don't have skin in the game don't tend to stay around. They're not taking it out of their own pocket, so we'll see. I mean, those changes, we can explain some of them. There are some others that have not done free tuition and have increased. So let's look at it from a different perspective. So this is CE. This is what I showed you last time. Again, we were much better at, 8% down. NCCS total was 25, and you see some really bad numbers, and you see some that jumped up. Again, I'm going to caveat some of that. If you get a new president in, and they were doing nothing in CE, it's not hard to get a 27% increase year over year. So don't be fooled by all the numbers. That's why data informed. You got to dig behind it. So it's not that they created a new way to do CE. It might be they just started doing something. They got somebody pushing them to go in that direction. So let's look at what happened if we add this next year, from 1920 now through the 22 year. Notice we jumped up nicely, very nicely in this comparison. So we're 13% up, total still -2, but you see more and more increases in here. Some still way down. I cannot remember which college this is. I've lost sleep over that college. I don't even know which college it is. That college shows up as the bottom on any way you slice it. They've got to be hurt. So I'm not sure what's going on in that area. But I don't think I see that president at any of the meetings either. So maybe that's a reason. But so overall instruction, if you combine the two. Again, this was last year, 5% down, 10% total, and most of us were in the yellows and some pretty consistently. This is the update. We're still 5%. We kind of maintained because we picked up CE, lost credit, and so we stayed. But you see we're creeping closer to that average, and there are more and more that are increasing. So that's kind of the lay of the land of where we are. It's still a struggle for all of us, folks. It's just hard these days. And if you look at, No, I don't want to say that. I don't want it in the newspaper. Yeah, that college is struggling. I don't want to say the name of it, even if I know it. But it's hard everywhere. It's tough. Nationally, community colleges are struggling. Many universities are struggling with enrollment. But the world has changed. How do we change with it? What are we going to do to try to make sure that we get as many students in as possible, not only because we're interested in the FTE, but we've got to believe that if you're in this business, that we are their best hope for transforming their tomorrow. That's what we talk about. That's why we exist. So it's not about just cheeks in the seats. That's what pays your salary, my salary, keeps the lights on here at the institution. That's an important thing. But if we really believe in what we do, don't we want as many people here as we can get to help them to get to where they could go if they only have somebody helping them along the way? So enough about some of that data. So where do we go from here? By the way, I told this story, I think, to the leadership team the other day. I had the opportunity in the last couple of months to serve as a reference for several folks that used to report to me, faculty that I used to work with at different institutions that are advancing up the career ladder. And one of the excellent faculty members and department heads of the past institution I was at, she actually just got, almost skipped the whole dean level. She did that at a university for a year. She's a vice president for academic affairs today. She texted me the other day and says, it's going great, everybody's, welcoming. But she's going into an institution where they even have some free tuition, but the enrollment has dropped pretty dramatically. So they've laid off a number of faculty and staff, and so she's going into a really difficult situation because they're trying to rebuild from having lost a ton of enrollment and a number of staff members. So she's going to be up for the challenge. She'll be excellent. So it's not just that college out in the western part of the state. It's not just us. All of us are trying to figure out what we can do, how we can do it, and where do we go from here. So this is where I'm going to give away a next little piece of something here. I'll give how about a College de Albemarle portfolio? To the first one that can tell me why this slide is important. I'm looking for an answer. So there are probably a bunch of answers, but particular answer. Do you recognize this? Anybody? What? COVID sucks. Is that what he said? That was not the answer I was looking for, but I'm going to give him this anyway, because that's the best. That's better than my answer. Danny, thank you. Sorry about that. I don't know who said that. Just shout your name out. It's not exactly the way I was going to frame that. What I was looking for here is this is exactly the same slide I had last year. This is it. Same challenges. Now, I think COVID and the rise of the variants is less of an issue, although we've got the pox are among us, right? I read this morning that there's a new infection that is going around China. The headline was "Not Again." And it's a novel virus that has not been in humans before. We have no treatment, no vaccine. 30-something people in China have been quarantined because of this. Everything that hits the news like that, I think, not again, because COVID does suck. And anything that would come in its footsteps probably would too. But again, the world has changed. We're flying all over the world. When I taught microbiology, for many years in a previous life, one of the things we would always talk about with epidemiology is just a matter of time. We're living on borrowed time because all of these things that exist in the world have not made it to the United States. Well, now we're out of time. Things are coming. We've got to be prepared for them. We've got to be aware of them. But what I was looking for was this is what we were talking about last year. Same challenges. We continue to have those. We need to figure out how we apply I don't know if he actually said it, it's been attributed to others as well, but Deming said every system is perfectly designed to get the results it's currently getting. So if we keep doing the same things over and over and expecting a different result as a system, as a college, as an individual, we're in trouble. So we've got to reinvent ourselves along the way, not wholly, not completely, not a complete makeover, but we've got to figure out what we can do differently, and we're going to talk about a few opportunities that we're working through to do that. So that's why this year's theme So we are COA. We talk about a family. We are also better together. And what I mean by that is we're going to be engaged in several opportunities this year for continuous improvement. That should be something that we do all the time anyway. But we want to make sure that we are continuously improving, that we're doing it together, that we, in our diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives, that we're talking to one another and we're getting better through those, and our data-centric initiatives, that we're getting the best ideas and working through opportunities. When we go out into the community, we partner with our community, and we do it to make our area better. We're better together because it speaks to the diversity, the inclusivity that we want to have, but it also speaks to what Dean and his folks are doing with you all as we try to get better, as we look at the data and ask questions about the data and live the life of a curious person. How can I make this better? And there are a lot of things we can do better. Communication showed up on a previous, what do we call that? The climate survey. Just went blank. The climate survey. Absolutely we can communicate better. Tammy and her folks are going to be helping us do that. We're going to find ways to get you information. It won't be for lack of trying. You may not read it, but you got it. Can't make you read it. But certainly we're going to try to share things that are going on because we want to make sure that we get the best input from all of us. There are a number of other initiatives that we'll touch on this morning and be sharing with you. I think we've already shared that action plan out of some of the things that we're working on. I'm looking at Dean. Didn't we share that a couple weeks ago? Broadly?
Yes, as far as what we're doing for continuous improvement.
Yes. So it should have been a table with some things that we're already working on and some things that we're planning to work on. And we probably need to send that out since the newbies were not here when we sent it out, so we probably need to send that out again, just FYI. So how are we better together? Started talking about that, and I put this picture of where the arch was originally before we brought it back, or brought it over here to this campus. It was at the original campus out on the river, old hospital. And I want to make this point because it's been sort of in my brain as we have been advocating for some of the things that are going on. We don't ever want to lose where we came from and what we are. You know, Robin Harris and others and I have had this conversation. We can ask for $25 million for a building not because of where we are today, but because of long-standing relationships that Paul had, because of the excellence of the programs under Allied Health. And I think this spring will be our 50th nursing class. 50 years of excellence. And we're going to do some celebrations with that. So we have a history to stand on. We have graduates and alumni and success stories to stand on. But the world's changed. How do we incorporate our history with where we need to go and how we need to respond to community needs, personal needs, faculty needs, staff needs, student needs, because the needs are very, 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 very different than they were a few years ago. So, some strategic initiatives. You've all seen these, but I wanted to talk through these in sort of a different light. What are we doing today to try to address some of these things? So we have some strategic initiatives. Our Board of Trustees have seen this list. We've talked about it with them. We've sent these. Well, some of you are involved in many of these, but if you are new to us or you haven't heard of some of these, I want you to know what's going on. So we have worked on some faculty evaluation in the faculty areas. 5 key themes that are there: excellence, subject matter expertise, student success, teaching methods, assessment, professional commitment. And I appreciate the work that Dr. Carter's and the deans and the faculty are doing to practice self-improvement, get better at our trade. We've done a new faculty academy. And for you new faculty, I'm sorry I had to miss the meeting this past time, but I will be with you at an upcoming meeting. So it's a year-long professional development that we use to try to show you the COA way, what we are about here as an institution. You know, and I want to be a little blunt with some of you who have taught for a while and say, I've been teaching for a while, I don't need that. Yes, you do, because you have taught here. or haven't been here full time. You need to know where you are working, what the commitment is, and what the family structure is like. And I think that's an important thing that we've done at all my institutions that I've worked at, and it has paid incredible dividends. But it's also an important thing to figure out if you don't fit, and figure that out early. Because, we are headed down a specific path to get better, continuous improvement. People that aren't interested in that should not probably be on the path. We were hiring a math instructor years and years and years ago. And I'll mention the Aspen Award, to you. The very first recipient of the Aspen Award, and it's awarded every 2 years, was, anybody know, the community college? Valencia in Florida. So we paid some of their faculty to come up and talk to our faculty. And, it was, your college wins the Aspen Prize, everybody at the college is invited somewhere. Talk about how you're doing things. What are you doing? What are you doing differently? So we were hiring this math faculty, and we were going through this, interview process. And I remember distinctly sitting in the conference room. We had this guy we were really excited about because he had been at Valencia when they were doing a lot of the work that was necessary to be the best community college in the nation. So we're like, man, this guy really brings something to the table. So we were interviewing this guy, and we got around to asking him about his Valencia experience. He said, I had to get out of there. Those people are crazy. So we're like, well, if you don't like where they went, you probably won't like where we are going, because a lot of the things that they had done, we were at least investigating. He didn't end up at the institution. It was probably good because, he did not want to take that journey and do things differently in the classroom. So I think that's a valuable tool, and you learn that through interviews, but you also learn it when you get to an institution and see what the values, how the mission, how the vision are lived out. And then online faculty evaluation, textbook cost reduction strategies. I think that one's going to be even bigger for us in the future as we continue to try to recruit adults and getting them to the bookstore to get $200 books. And if we can use open resources that are effective, we should be looking at all of those things. Faculty have also been implementing simple syllabus. Those things that help us to get information out. I know you all love simple syllabus, I'm sure. But it's going to be a useful tool moving forward. I think it's already paid dividends from my conversations with Dr. Carter and others. Program pathways. How do we have a clear curriculum path for folks? We don't want them to be tricked. We don't want them to feel bamboozled. We need to have direct paths from where they are to where they want to be. And if they need to take an off-ramp because they need rest, they need to earn more money, they need to be with family, whatever it is, we got to give them an on-ramp. And I think some colleges that have done that are seen effectively. And we do it here too, and we do it effectively in some areas. But as we continue to look at how we do things, I think we might be surprised to learn that there's even more pathways that we can make direct and that we don't have to wind people through. I've actually heard faculty argue at institutions that it's good for students to wander through a curriculum because they find themselves. I did it. I found myself. Well, you did it when the whole cost of tuition was $2,000 for room and board and food. That's a little bit different animal than today. With the extremely high cost, especially at the university. It's not so bad here. But still, today we need to be about getting people out. More people have lost confidence in higher ed over the last few years than is healthy for us in this industry. They haven't necessarily lost confidence in the community colleges. We are at the top of the list of institutions, of educational institutions. I'll lump K-12 in that. If you look at K-12, Ivy League, university level, private universities, we rank at the top of all of those lists for confidence that people have in us. Because they entrust their money and their time to us so we can help them get where they're going. Get trained, get ready for the university. They want to wander, there are other ways to wander these days, and we need to make sure the path is straight and it is helpful to them. So program review process, looking at our programming, tying it to budget. How many FTEs does it take to make a program break even? That's an important metric. Some programs will never break even in, and that's okay. That's the way it's designed. With other programs, we need to make sure that we are fiscally responsible and doing the things that we need to do. And looking at the number of students that come through. Because there's a cost to everything. And if we minimize cost, that helps us when the budgets get leaner. And if we keep losing enrollment, the budget is definitely getting leaner. And we need to make sure we shore that up. Ongoing faculty development. You guys are having sessions today, lunch and learns. You are doing a great job of learning the new technologies, the new ideas, debating among one another, and finding different ways to do things. Also practicing more and more of an intrusive advising model where we have to get in the business of people. You know, we have been very passive in higher education. They don't want to be here, that's fine. They pay their money, it takes their chances. We need to help people understand that the decisions they make not to come to class, not to come to an advising appointment, not to fill out this form, have implications. Let us help you. Let us help you get there. And eventually, hopefully, they'll take on that mantle and start doing it for themselves. But we may have to handhold a little bit. We don't like to do that at college, do we? But the world's changed. If we expect to have students, we're going to have to help them to understand what that means. Some of our students coming out of high school have not had anywhere near a traditional, normal high school experience because COVID sucks. But, do we just say that? So what? It goes from 40% of students don't go anywhere to 45%. Big deal. Well, that big deal is they're also going to be dependent upon social services. They're also going to be dependent upon some other things that are going to increase taxes and decrease FTE revenue here at the institutions of higher ed. I don't know why this is in bold. Something happened here, but sure. Long leave student support services grant, where we're doing some student success coaching and some other things. Racial equity for adult credentials in higher education reach collaborative. Dr. Gregory and some others are working on this as we look at how we can reach these adults. And we're one of, about 170 institutions across 6 states, helping us build capacity and tools for equitable system change, improved adult student learning outcomes. Student outcomes. We've got to help our adults. Our adults are still disappearing. If it weren't for CCP, we'd be in real trouble. Our adults are disappearing. We're going to have to look at that. I'm going to mention that again in just a minute. And then Adult Learners Pilot Program. So we are engaged in the pilot program using Inside Track and Finish First NC, which was some ways to help people reconnect with the programs that they maybe walked away from at some point. So we've got a lot of initiatives going. And we don't want to have initiative fatigue, but we've got to try to figure out what it is that's going to work. We are part of the Rural Leaders Institute. We have a group of folks that are part of 10 colleges that were selected from an application process in North Carolina to try to affect outcomes for adult learners. And in rural colleges, that's especially important because they don't have as many choices. They have us. And we need to make sure that we're doing what we can for them. We have a Minority Male Success Initiative grant to address the access, progression, success of minority males. Adults have disappeared from higher education, but males have disappeared dramatically. Community colleges are overwhelmingly female student oriented because that's who's coming. And if you take it a step further, black males have almost disappeared. That cannot be allowed to stand, folks. We've got to figure out what we can do to get adults back, males back, and especially men of color, and help them to connect with us. And I appreciate the work that our admission folks, Antonio and others, are doing in this regard. But it's not just a COA issue. I'm not talking about just COA. Look at numbers across the nation. COVID decimated adult populations, male populations, men of color populations. Females, you guys were rocking. Y'all kept coming. And not adult females as much, but the females have taken up the slack, and the majority of student populations are female in community college. Focus group series for minority recruitment and retention. We've had some folks working on that to try to figure out what we can learn from our students and our adults and our community members. And then the Ashland Prize I've already mentioned, we have gone through that process, which all kind of is culminating, if you will, into our Quality Enhancement Plan project, which we are, we're going to be starting to work on in earnest in the coming days. You probably know that Andrea is our QEP director. Where's Andrea? There it is. In the application process, she was interested, and she is going to be fantastic in that role. And I told the Board of Trustees last night, I really see this as it's a growth opportunity for Andrea, for sure. But it's also an opportunity for us to examine all of those initiatives that sound like different initiatives, but they're really not. They're about adults and about helping people that need an opportunity. What it boils down to. So if you look at the gaps, and we went through a process with many of you through the months, you've all had input if you were here in topics, and we did some focus groups and with the deans, and we did some surveying, and we did some discussion, and we looked at some data, a lot of data. And our biggest gaps are in the area of socioeconomic equity. Those who have do better. Those who have not don't finish, or don't finish strong. That's a big problem when you're trying to address rural adults who we're trying to focus on. So our topics will be socioeconomic equity, but I am convinced that by addressing this topic, we're going to be addressing a lot of the other things that we just talked about. I just highlighted to you. Whether it's a racial inequity, there's a correlation. Adults, correlation with socioeconomic. Geographic diversity, there's a correlation. Based on where you live, how much you earn, how difficult it is for you to get to one of our 4 campuses, how much you have to spend on gas, which thankfully is abating a little bit with its price, but is still very high, cost to many of us. So I'm excited about the topic. And for those of you who don't know, the Quality Enhancement Plan is part of our SAC COC reaffirmation. Every 10 years we have to go through an institutional accreditation, and this is our time. So this year I know a lot of you have been involved in writing narratives, and we are going to be reviewing those narratives and putting our compliance document together, and it will be due in the spring of next year. And our QEP is going to be developed along these lines of what are we doing, how can we do it, what are our initiatives that we're going to involve in that, what are the measures, what's the budget, what are the resources, and all that will be presented next year also. And that's due in, I think, August of next year. So we've got a year to put together our quality enhancement plan. But this is also a continuous improvement process. Accreditation is not just, or shouldn't be, just about checking the boxes. It should be about getting better. Choosing a topic that allows us to get better. Looking at institutional effectiveness outcomes, student learning outcomes, administrative unit outcomes, as a way to get better. And we will get better if we are doing it together and involving other people and making sure that the initiatives are strong. So, Andrea, looking forward to great things. Thank you for your willingness to do that. I think it's going to be an exciting ride to see where we go. But all of this supports the mission. We put this up last time, and I think we've got to make sure that we're always looking at our mission, vision, values. Mission of College of the Albemarle is to transform lives in an accessible, supportive educational environment that promotes academic excellence, lifelong learning, workforce development, and community relationships through exceptional service that fosters student success and improves the quality of life for all. Faculty, I want to talk to you just for a second here. As we talk about re-examining ourselves in pathways and student success and all of those things, we are never, ever, ever talking about giving grades away. We're never, ever, ever talking about lowering standards. We're talking about raising support. Making sure that we provide a way for the students to get there. Expect people to jump high. They need to jump high when they go out. But somebody used this analogy with me one time, and I think it's pretty effective. If I'm getting harder, it's getting harder for me to hear and see the older I get. But, if I don't have my contacts in, you put something in front of me, and I can't read it. I can't read it. You tell me to try harder, I still can't read it. You tell me to concentrate, I still can't read it. But if you give me the tools and the support I need, with the right kind of glasses, contacts, magnifying glass, whatever it is, I'm going to have an opportunity to be successful. You didn't change what's on the page. You changed the tools. You changed the mechanism, the way that I can approach it and make it accessible. And I think that's what we're talking about. A lot of times faculty is talking about giving away grades. No. That would be the death of COA. If we don't hold people to standards, if we don't have high expectation and high results, might as well just fold up our tent and go home. But that doesn't mean that we can't provide high levels of support and intrusive advising and getting in their business a little bit to find out what it is we can help them do. I'll tell you one more story. I wasn't planning on telling this, but it just came to mind. I had a student approach me a couple colleges ago. And we had done some of the things that Valencia had done. And one of those things was they changed their attendance policy to be more strict. Which, by the way, I'm not sure we did a good thing. But so the faculty, some of them really liked it. You can't miss my class but one time and then you're out. And so I had a student in my office, and the student was complaining about the policy. And I said, well, it's the policy. But the student said, well, how come the faculty member can miss 3 weeks of the semester? And I missed 2 times and I'm out. I said, wait, what do you mean 3 weeks? That instructor's been out about 3 weeks. But I missed 2 times and I'm out of class. Are you going to fire that instructor? Well, no. But it isn't fair, is it? If the instructor can miss more than the student, something's wrong with that. And those were part of sort of that learning process as we're going through, that we've got to hold ourselves to those standards too. We want flexibility. We want people to care about us. We want people to know what we're challenged with. But we want to hold others. Nope. Can't do it. You can't miss. Can't have you out twice. You're going to miss too much stuff. So I think we've got to talk to each other. Figure out what works. How do we hold people to a high standard but give them a high level of support and some flexibility? Because COVID sucks, said the great philosopher. So we're going to have to figure out these things, and there are other things that get in the way. Our vision is transforming lives by inspiring and empowering individuals and communities in our region. Our values are not inconsistent with the things that we've talked about. I just want to put this up to remind you. And these are horrible scans because I was using my phone going down the hall the other day. But this was, I guess, a printing. I don't even know the history of what this is, but this is hanging over in the AE building, hallway outside of the cashier's office. But I think we're going to disagree on some ways to get places. Family members disagree. But we need to have conversation. I love this because it's been posted out there all summer, I think. And I walk by it all the time. And you all came up with some of these, and I think it was, Dr. Carter, it was a project over in something. What was this? Spring Activities Day. Thank you. So I love some of these. This is just a sample of them. We're genuinely kind as we try to figure out where we're going and what we're doing. I'm making this about, like, talking about you, but this is not the purpose of it. I love these things. Be slayfully kind, consciously kind, faithfully kind, always But I think if we're going to serve adults, it's going to take us looking at policies, procedures, how we do things, when we do those things, what sequence we use as we do those things. And I still think at the end of our journey, wherever our journey takes us, we're going to be an excellent institution that is at the top of any list that you want to put together. But it's also going to be a student-friendly, community-friendly institution where we're trying to make sure we're serving students to the best of our ability. That's my hope. That's my plan. That's my dream. And if we can do this together, I think we'll get better together. And I think we'll be an institution that everybody's going to be looking at. And you guys are going to be invited all over the country because they're going to look at COA, little COA, out metaphorically and literally on an island away from the rest of North Carolina sometimes and the nation, doing things and trying to figure out how you guys are doing. So I wanted to say, be ready for that change. Be ready to continue to get better together. But also thank you for the work that you've done. You've done a tremendous work here in Northeast North Carolina. Your community is better for it. I know I talk to people all the time who tell me their COA stories, and I have never, ever, ever, knocked on wood, had anybody say, wow, that was a waste of my time to be a COA. Everybody sings your praises, talks about what a good job you all do. Let's figure out how to meet students where they are and get them where they need to go. Valerie's going to give us a quick set of instructions, and then we're going to take a break. So thank you all for listening, and let's do it.
I just wanted to... let you guys know, if you didn't pick up your lunch tickets this morning, there's a table out in the lobby to pick up your lunch and your dessert ticket for today. And also, just to give you guys, let everyone know that the Hangry food truck does have a vegetarian and vegan option, as well as a soy-based chorizo that they can substitute for protein. And we'll be wandering around. If you have any questions during lunchtime, there'll be a couple of us wandering around and we can help you guys out. And thank you.
Thank you. I just want to, thank you. I just want to share a text that I just got from another president in North Carolina. He said, how's your fall looking? We are crashing and burning. We are not alone, people. Folks are fighting, struggling, trying to reinvent. So it couldn't come in at, I hate for them, but it couldn't come in at a better time. We all have to reinvent, and I know that he and I have had these conversations. So we're not alone in the journey. Thank you all. Let's go take a break and come back in a few minutes and hear Paul O'Neill.
57, 58, 59, 60, 61, 62, 63, 64, 65, 66, 67, 68, 69, 70, 71, 72, 73, 74, 75, 76, 77, 78, 79, 80,
some money out of the legislators over the last few months, and I'm not being facetious with that term. He has beat them about the head and shoulders with phone calls, metaphorically, you understand. So we are glad to have Paul with us. He has like an hour and a half worth of material to go through, and he will get through it with your help. So welcome Paul O'Neill to the stage.
Am I live? Okay. All right, good morning. It's great to be here this morning. It's great to see all of you here. I can tell I'm talking to some very religious folks because all the back seats are full and the front seats are empty. So I know all of you go to church every Sunday because I can tell. So it's really an honor to be able to speak to you a little bit this morning. Dr. Bagwell asked me would I do that. It's kind of a party shot for me, not in the sense of I'm going to get you a shot, but just an opportunity to talk a little bit about COA and a little bit about what it's meant for me as a trustee and how important you are to the community and what kind of support you have in the community in our 7-county service area. So I was really thrilled to have this opportunity. But I'm shaking in my boots in case you can't tell because I get nervous talking to a large group of people. So anyways, I thank you for your attention. So I also understand he put me just before lunch. You know, that's a horrible place to be, is between lunch and hungry people. So I'll try not to drone on forever. I do want to share an experience with, I'm going to talk a little bit about, I have 3 daughters. All 3 of them have gone to COA and gone on to continue their education elsewhere. But my middle daughter, Rachel, she came to COA. She went to East Carolina, and when she finished East Carolina, she went to ODU to get her master's degree. Well, this past fall, she had her graduation ceremony at ODU. And so her mother and I go to her graduation, and we walk into this big auditorium. It's their basketball auditorium, and it's full. And so we got the cheap seats up at the top, and I'm looking down on the basketball court, and I see all these seats, and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I'm going to be here 8 hours before they ever graduate everybody. And so I'm sitting there, and the people behind me had their daughter was graduating, and they were from, I believe it was Pennsylvania. And so the whole time I was there, they were talking about the pizza that they were going to eat when they got out of here. And they just went on, and then they were comparing this pizza they were going to eat to a pizza back home and what they were going to get on it. And I mean, literally, for the whole time I was there, they were talking about pizza. So needless to say, I had to have pizza when I got out of there. But as we were sitting there, they bring the students in, and you know, all the pomp and circumstance, and it's just on, and it's like ants. I mean, they just kept coming and coming and coming. So I've got this little mental clock in my mind. I'm going, okay, there's 10 minutes, there's 30 minutes, okay, there's another 30 minutes. And I'm up to about 2 hours already before they ever start the ceremonies in my mind. And I'm thinking, I'm never going to get out of here tonight. And it was hot, and the guys were killing me with pizza talk. But anyways, we're sitting there, and then they decide to introduce the faculty and staff. And I think they introduced the faculty and staff of every college in Virginia because it never ended. It just kept going and going and going. And so they go, and then they decide they're going to introduce the speaker. And I was like, oh my gosh, this guy's going to talk for another hour too. So we're sitting there, and the speaker walks in, and they start telling you all his education, his credentials, and all that he's done. And it just goes on and on and on. So I've added another hour. So I'm up to about 5 hours now. I think I'm going to be here that night. And I'm just thinking, man, I'm going to die. So this guy's going to talk forever. But I have to tell you, he was absolutely the best best speaker I've ever heard in my life. It was 10 minutes. I mean, from start to finish, he was 10 minutes. So he threw my whole mental clock out. So I just quit thinking about the time and got there and enjoyed it and saw my daughter walk across and get her master's degree. So I promise you I'm not going to be 10 minutes, but I will be a little bit longer than that, but I won't keep you here forever. So I want to thank you again for this opportunity to talk about COA and the Dolphins, this institution that we like to call our little piece of education heaven in northeastern North Carolina. Unlike Dr. Bagwell, I'm going to have to refer to my notes from time to time so I can keep going. I don't have a fancy clicker. I don't have any screens, so you're just going to have to listen to me for a little bit. So I do want to start out and tell you a little funny. There was a politician and a college professor, and they both died. So they go to the pearly gates, and St. Peter is there. He says, "Welcome to both of you. You've lived a great life. I want to come and show you where you're going to be." So he takes the educator and he takes the politician, and he says, "Need a nail in this." So he takes the educator and the politician and he shows them where they're going to be. So he takes the educator first, and they go to this nice dorm type setting. And they go inside and takes the educator and opens the door and says, "This is where you're going to be." There's a nice bed in there, a full kitchenette, a nice view of the park outside, a bed, but it's not the mansion that you would think. But anyways, the educator says, "Oh, I'm so thankful, peace at last, rest at last." And he says, "Okay, let's go." So they take the politician. They go out of the dorm, and they walk down this path, and there's this palatial mansion. And they go inside, and inside there is just everything is gold and ornate, multiple rooms, refrigerators full of food, just every paradise you could think of. And out in the back, this beautiful garden with a lake and everything. And he looks at the politician and says, "And this is where you'll be staying." And the educator says, "Hey, come here, St. Peter. I don't want to be ungrateful or in any way make you think I don't appreciate being here or whatever. But I look at the room that I've got compared to what you're giving to this politician. Why is that?" And St. Peter looked at the educator and said, "Well, we've had thousands and thousands and tens of thousands of educators make it into heaven. But this is the first politician ever." So, a little bit about me. I've been part of this institution since 2000, officially as a trustee, up until 2022. I was appointed by numerous governors over the years, and my term actually ended in June of this past year, but you continue on until a replacement is named. So a replacement was named, and last night I went to my final board meeting and got to meet the person that the governor has appointed, and I'm very excited for her. I think she'll do a great job, and really excited for the college. And I want you folks to know that you're in good hands with the trustees, and the trustees, you know, you're in good hands with the faculty and staff that we have here. But I actually got my start here a little bit sooner than that. In 1994, I was appointed to what they call the College of Albemarle Advisory Board. And that was non-host counties, in other words, counties that didn't actually have a campus. COA decided to appoint an individual from each county that didn't have a campus, and they could come to the meetings and be what they called advisory board members. So I've actually been affiliated with the college since 1994 with Dr. Parker Chesson was actually the president. He had actually was retiring at that time. So I go back that far with the college and have known a lot of presidents, a lot of faculty and staff over the years, and board members. So we have a lot to be thankful for the support that we have in the area and the accomplishments that have happened because our faculty has educated the children. They've gone back into the communities that they came from, many of them, and they've become members of the functioning adult society that has just grown in support for COA. So I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the accomplishments that we've done. Of course, Dr. Bagwell stole a lot of my thunder earlier, so a little bit of this stuff will be repetitious. For that, I apologize, but it is important that we talk about it. So this, just so you know, this is not a prop that I thought of. This was a prop that Dr. Bagwell presented last night in the meeting, on my last meeting, to talk about some of the things that we've done at COA in the last 20-some years. So I want to highlight a few of these things as I talk. I don't know what to do with this now. I guess we'll find a way to see if that'll hold it there. We're going to start back in 2001. COA celebrated its 40th anniversary. So in 2001, COA had already been a part of this community for 40 years. And then in September of that year, we moved the arch and moved the original arch from 1962 over to where it is now. So when we moved from down by the water, we moved the arch back over here where it belonged. In 2002 until 2010, Ms. Lynn Bunch served as the 8th president of the College of the Albemarle. In February of 2003, the Virginia Pilot announced that the YMCA and COA are to share a new facility, as we affectionately call the Zach Owens Center, next door. And in 2003, I'm not reading the whole list, I promise. In 2003, Chowan County offered COA space at the former D.F. Walker Elementary School on Oakland Street in Edenton. COA's culinary program immediately moves into the existing cafeteria at the site. I believe it operates there still today, if I'm not mistaken. In January 9th of 2004, classes began at our Zach Owens state-of-the-art Medical Health Science Center. In 2007, we had a groundbreaking for new science labs and administrative offices, later named the AE building. And in 2007, Albemarle Hospital partnered with Pasquotank County and COA, and we completed a 1.2 mile boardwalk back behind, I don't know where we are, but back on the water. And I'm sure many of you walked on that before. But in August of 2007, COA started the first early college in Currituck County at what is now, or was, the Joseph Palmer Knapp High School. So in 2007 till now, we've operated an early college in Currituck County. I think this year, there's 255 students enrolled, if my numbers are correct. So you think about all those high school students that have graduated with a high school diploma and an associate's degree and got a leg up for free. That's what we've done, and that's just in Currituck County over this span of years. In 2008, December, we had a groundbreaking for COA's Roanoke Island expansion and renovation project. And then in February of 2009, we had the ribbon cutting and dedication ceremony for the new A building. So some of y'all, how many of you were around back then? That's good. I like to see those hands. And then in April of 2010, Dr. Kenny Diedemeyer began serving as 9th president of the College of the Albemarle. And we received, in March, $580,000 grant from the Golden Leaf for work in aerospace manufacturing. 2010 of that year, of that month, Dare County undergoes a major expansion with the renovation and new construction at the Roanoke Island campus in Manio. In 2011, I'm excited about this one. In April of 2011, COA and Currituck County announced a multi-million-dollar regional aviation and technical training center that's going to be built in Maple, North Carolina, which is affectionately known as RATSI. I hate that name. RATSI. Dr. Bagwell. But unfortunately, we haven't been able to get Currituck to fix those signs yet, so we're working on that. We celebrated our 50th anniversary on September of 2011 at the Kermit E. White Center, and in November of that year, the State Board of North Carolina approved the Regional Aviation and Training Center to be built in Currituck County and house those programs. In 2012, the Eden-Chowan campuses were consolidated. In 2012 March, we broke ground on the Aviation Center. And in August, we opened that center. And where we are today, it seemed like yesterday, but in 2016, the trustees approved the renovation project of the lobby for this Performing Arts Center where we are today. It was a very nice project and really made this a showcase for the Albemarle area. So, fast forward a little bit. July 1st of 2016, I became the chairman of the trustees, which I served for 2 years. At that time, the legislature had put forward a bond referendum that the state approved, and we were awarded $6 million towards facilities. So with that money, we dedicated $1 million to Currituck County for a new building that they had promised to build us, which he showed earlier, and $1.5 million to Dare County for the new campus that they were going to build for us. And then we spent the rest of that money here internally here within this campus here. And of course, as soon as I become chairman, Dr. Dietermeyer decides she's going to leave. So I'm like, great, what a gift. So Dr. Dietermeyer gives her resignation, and she left in December of that year, and then Kenan Briggs served as interim president. At that time, Charles Ward family had donated $600,000 to COA as some of that community commitment for people that love this institution. And we named the Charles Ward Library that we now have. And then in April, Dr. Weiniger became the 10th president of COA. But also at that time, Bill Taylor had decided he wanted to donate the golf course to COA. Well, of course, COA, we can't operate a golf course, and we couldn't do it. So the foundation, they give it to the foundation, and the foundation is like, well, we can't operate a golf course either. So here we had this beautiful golf course and property, and we didn't know what to do with it. We were able to partner with the YMCA, and the YMCA came in and ran the golf course and did some renovations, updates, and were starting to become very successful in running the golf course. And it was doing a bang-up job and had a lot of membership. And as part of the YMCA, it was just a great fit for us. Then, where's Robin? In August of 2017, the graduating class received 100% pass rate on the National Council Licensing Examination for registered nurses, which was a great record. We were very proud of that, and that's continued on with our nursing program. As you saw, it was #1 in the state, and not #1 in Eastern North Carolina, not #1 in amongst community colleges, but #1 in the state. That means everybody. We're #1. That's something to really be proud of. Then in August of 18, the Elizabeth City Pasquotank Public Schools opened not all of what it should be. I mean, that is such an advantage for young people to be able to go to high school and college at the same time and have that 2 years of education free. I don't know how we can get that message out better to the parents in the Elizabeth City area, but that is such an asset for this community, and we need to tell everybody about it and do everything we can to grow that program here. Then, of course, the next chairman in 2018 was Marion Harris, and we at that time approved the old president's residency to be used in the nursing program for a simulation lab, and just so the truth be told, I voted no not to do it. So Robin, she always glares at me. She never forgive me for that. But anyways, luckily, we had a former trustee, Dr. Roger Lamberson, that really, he was adamant that we cannot get rid of that building. We have got to let the nursing program use it. And through his force and persuasion, he convinced the majority of the trustees to not tear that building down and allow the nursing program to use it. So I congratulate him for being that passionate about it. Trustees are passionate for this college and for what they think is right. And so we did not tear it down, and that's where a lot of our stuff is housed now. So in 2019, we identified that's what we wanted to build, and we started working back at that time. At that time, Dr. Weiniger resigned, and we appointed Dr. Travis Twyford as an interim president at that time. And then in December 2nd of 2019, Dr. Jack Bagwell began serving as the 11th president of College of the Albemarle. What he didn't tell you was, he brought COVID with him. Had anybody heard of COVID before he came? I mean, it was something that was out everywhere, you know. As soon as he comes, we close everything down, we got COVID. So,
You're welcome.
yes, thank you. Then January of 20, COA and Currituck broke ground on the new public safety building. On the 21st of April of that year, we had our first electronic trustee meeting with 100% participation because we couldn't meet in person. Everybody remember that? Didn't those times suck? I don't know who said that earlier, but they kind of hit spot on with that. In August of 18, Patty Kersey became our next chairman. And in December, we host a groundbreaking ceremony for the new COA campus. In December also, our foundation launches a new capital campaign. I can't tell you how important it is for us to support our foundation and what they do. They provide a lot of scholarships within our community, but they also are now providing some funds to help us with the FF&E, which it took me 20 years to figure out what that meant, but furniture, fixtures, and equipment for our new buildings as we build them. We also had ribbon cutting here in June of 21. We had a grand opening of the new public safety building in Currituck in August. And Dr. Bagwell spoke about that a moment ago, the economic impact of COA in our community and our service area. $105 million? That's a lot of money. Trying to find it on here. There you go. $105.3 million. And in June of this past year, we've selected someone to remodel and complete the building A entranceway. But in July, something I'm really happy about, when the North Carolina House of Representatives and Senate passed their budget, COA was awarded $12.5 million to go towards the new simulation and nursing and health education building. And COA put we put together an ad hoc committee, and I was blessed to be able to serve on that and help work towards that, but I didn't do it alone. Your staff here worked diligently to put together the presentations. We had Robin carried us on tours, we carried county commissioners, we carried House Representatives member, or state representative member, the Pasquotank County Commissioners came out here, they got on board with it, and up until 2 days before the budget passed, we had a full $25 million in the budget, which would have paid for everything, lock, stock, and barrel. However, when you start horse trading before you adopt the budget, some things go this way, some things go that way, and half of our building went another way. But thankfully, Pasquotank County and their generosity and belief in this facility and institution came up with the rest of the money, and I know Dr. Bagwell went over that. So we're really excited about that. August 1st is when they passed their resolution to give us the money. Then on August 3rd, we were awarded a $1 million grant to provide maritime offshore wind industries. And yes, I'm going to quit reading that history now. The reason I read that history is each one of those things I read was because of support within our community, because of support within our service area county commissioners, because of support from the trustees, because of support of what you've done over the years to educate our community about COA. Every time you go somewhere, you are COA, and people know that, and we have this building because of you and many others and the support of the community. So, I do want to talk a little bit, I still got plenty of time. I do want to talk a little bit about influences on our life. And for me, my largest influences, and there's negative and positive influences. I want to talk about positive influences. For me, my parents were my most positive influence. And when I say parents, I talk about my grandparents, my aunts, my uncles. They were all very positive in my life and helped me to become the person that I am today by holding me accountable, disciplining me when I needed it, but showing me love, unrestricted. And that's so important about how we influence people and who influences you. And of course, my church, growing up in my church, that influences me as well. I can name people in my church that taught me in Sunday school and pastors that I had, and how much they influenced the decisions I made in my life going forward. But then I want to talk about the educators and the influence they've had on my life. I remember going to Dr. W.T. Griggs School. I was like most boys, I was mischievous and could do something to get in trouble once in a while. So I remember one day I was sitting out in the hall because I had misbehaved, and I was really, really angry or whatever, sitting in my little chair because I was in 3rd grade. So I'm sitting there just dejected and everything, and Miss Mildred Owens, she wasn't a teacher, she was the janitor. She came up to me and she said, "Paul, what have you done today?" I said, "Well, I was talking in class, Miss Mildred." And she said, "Well, you know, Paul, do you think your mother would be proud of you sitting out here today?" I said, "No, ma'am, I hope she don't find out." And she said, "Well, I want you to know that I'm not proud of you sitting out here today. I'm not proud of what you've done because you're better than that." And that, you know, even as a little child, that touched me, that she cared about me. And I go on through school. I got in a fight one time in high school. Had my new FFA coat. Any of y'all ever had an FFA coat? Well, when you're in high school, that was a big deal. So I was strutting around in my new blue corduroy Future Farmers of America coat, and a boy pushed me into the chalkboard. I looked at it, I said, "That guy's lost his mind," so we started to fight. And we went across the desk in one of the classrooms or whatever. So I got sent to the office. And any of y'all know Ron Lee? He was the assistant principal at Currituck High School while I was there. So I got sent in to Mr. Lee, and of course he said, Paul, what have you done now? Of course, there's a little theme there somewhere. Paul, what have you done now? So anyways, Mr. Lee dealt proportional punishment. I didn't start it. The boy that did, he got 10 days. I got 10 days sweeping the parking lot, but I didn't miss school. I had a little push broom sweeping the parking lot every afternoon. But you say, okay, well, you got punished, but there was proportional punishment, and that had an effect on me because he took into account what the real circumstances were instead of just taking a broad brush and punishing equal for everybody. Because everybody is equal, but not everybody's the same. And we have to make allowances for people and their personalities when we're dealing with them. So, educators have had a big influence in my life. And I'm friends with many of the teachers that I've had over the years. I'm personal friends with them. They're up in their years now, but I'm personal friends with many of them. So I want to tell you in the next few minutes a little bit about my children's experience at COA. My oldest daughter, Paige, works next door at, I'm crossed up, I think Centera, as a physical therapy assistant. She started here at COA, did not know what she wanted to do, but I had an agreement with my wife and my kids. You are going your first 2 years to community college at COA, then you can go anywhere you want to after that, but you're going 2 years at COA because if you're going to spend 2 years trying to discover yourself and who you want to be, you're going to do it on a budget. You're not going to East Carolina and doing the chug-a-lug contest and so forth. So she comes to COA and she thinks she wants to go into the medical field. So she was thinking about something to do with nursing or whatever, and she got exposed somehow to blood that was going to have to be drawn, and some of the things she said, well, Daddy, maybe that's not what I want to do. So she graduated 2 years here, but during that 2 years, she decided she wanted to be a physical therapy assistant. Somebody in this college helped her find what she wanted to be, and that's what she is now. She went to Martin Community College, got her associate's degree in physical therapy, works at Centera, has a really good job, makes good money, and she's still here in our COA community. And by the way, she's going to make me a granddaddy in December, be my first grandchild. So I'm going to skip my middle daughter. Any of y'all have a middle child? We're going to get back to the middle child last. I'm going to go to my youngest daughter, Emily. My youngest daughter, Emily, she didn't really know what she wanted to be. She thought maybe she wanted to do something in the medical field, maybe nursing or something, but I don't know. I pass out when I get blood, so maybe I curse them with that, and they decided maybe blood is not where they want to be. So Emily, she graduated from high school in 2020, right in the heart of COVID. She didn't have a prom. She had a jacked up graduation. She had a lot of home classes, and she really missed out on her senior year. But then she come to COA, and guess what? It was still home classes, still computer classes or whatever. But she did 2 years here at COA, and she was just a class or two short of getting her associate's degree. But she's decided she wants to go into the hospitality field, and she's going to East Carolina in August. But she finished a couple of online classes this past summer so that she can go to East Carolina as a junior. Again, 2 years at COA. When she graduates, it'll say East Carolina, but she'll be here in this community, probably on the Outer Banks, hustling tourists along somehow, some way. But there's COA again, but somehow someone in COA helped her make a decision as to what she wanted to do with her life. So now she has a path on a budget. Now, I'm going to talk about my middle daughter. You know, when you have two children, mama can handle one, daddy can handle the other. But when you have three, one gets left out because you don't have enough arms. Well, my middle daughter, she's always, well, Paige has always been your favorite, or Emily's now your favorite, and whatever. If you have children, you understand that. Because my brother is my mother's favorite. I know all about it. So Rachel, the one I was talking about that graduated from ODU with her master's degree, she didn't want to go to COA. She wanted to go somewhere and get away. I said, okay, where do you want to go? She said, Wilmington. I said, fine, Cape Carteret's where you're going. So she went for a year at Cape Carteret, and she thought she wanted to do something with interior design or something down there. But when she came back from the COA, she fell in love with history. Somebody in this body of educators influenced her to where she decided she wanted to do something in history. She got her associate's degree. She went to East Carolina, double majored in history. When she got done with that, she went to ODU and got her master's degree. And now she is starting at the Wake County school system. She'll be starting as a teacher of history at a high school in Cary. And all that, part of that path came from here. Somebody here helped her decide what she wanted to be. Now, I've encouraged her to go on and get her doctorate. Because I've told her, I said, you know, Rachel, your dad's getting a little bit older. He's going to need a doctor around. She doesn't think that's funny. I think it's hilarious. But anyways, they don't get my humor sometimes. So she may pursue her doctorate. But this community college here in northeastern North Carolina has had a huge influence on my family. That's why I love this place. I love each and every one of you and what you do. Because you make a difference in people's lives. Not everybody is straight arrow ready to go to a 4-year institution. Not everybody's ready for that because they haven't discovered who they are. And our kids are sheltered nowadays. They're not adults at 17 and 18 like they were when the generation before me came along. They were getting married, they were having babies, they were going to war, they were doing all kinds of stuff. But the kids now aren't exposed to those type of things, so a lot of them aren't ready to go immediately to Carolina or State or Duke and be an adult, because nobody there cares whether they do their homework. Nobody cares what they're doing at night. They just send them home when they flunk out, or if they flunk out. So we fill that niche here in Elizabeth City and all the 58 community colleges and all the ones throughout the country. So never underestimate the difference that you make in a child's life. I'll call them children. I can't do it if they were sitting in here. But these are young people that are impressionable. And you have an opportunity to maybe inspire that young person. Or you have the opportunity to turn that person off to education. What shall you do? Some of the new people that are here, you haven't become jaded yet. You haven't had that class that you just can't wait till, oh my gosh, are they ever going to finish in here? But think about that one person that you can help. And those of you that have been around a long time, find some inspiration. Find something that reinvigorates you. Find something that gets you on fire again. And let's think about these young people and the influence you have on them. You are changing family trees. Some of these students that pass through these doors have never had a family member in college, have never had anybody above a high school education. You have the opportunity to change family trees. And you have the opportunity with the older adults that come in who maybe are looking for a new chance at life. You have so much influence, so much opportunity to influence these young people and influence your community as those who have come before you have done. So I would encourage you to do that. And I'll leave you with this last thing. right on time. I love Labrador Retrievers. I've had one ever since I was a little boy. And dogs just don't live long enough. I mean, they become just like family, but they just don't live long enough. Well, my last one passed away, and my wife said, "You're not getting another one. I can't go through you mourning like you do over a dog." Well, anyways, I got kids, so guess what? I got to get another dog. So some neighbors of mine had a litter of puppies, black labs, and we begged and pleaded and everything. And my wife said, "Well, okay, you can have another dog." So we go to look at the puppies, and oh my gosh, they're so fat and pretty, and there was 9 of them and everything. And the people that had the puppy said, "You don't want that one with a red collar. He's a trouble. He's trouble. He doesn't mind, he doesn't listen. He's always wandering off, and you don't want the one with the red collar." So guess which one I immediately latched onto? The one with the red collar. And he is the best baby I've ever had. I can't even walk into another room without him following, just looking at me, just unabashed love. So I would encourage you this year, find that student with the red collar, take them under your wing, and make them into what they can be so that they can come and be productive members of our society. So I thank you for your time. It's been an honor to be here. God bless you.
Thank you, Paul. I think that was inspirational, historical. I'm going to ask Paul a couple questions, and we got a couple more pieces of swag to give away. But Paul, just from your experience over the last almost 30 years, why do you think we have seen the $60 million invested in facilities? That's about what's been invested over the last year. Why do you think our community is investing that kind of money in COA?
Because many in our community are alumni of COA, and they have been so affected positively by COA, and everybody wants the next generation to have the best that they can have, but you are part of the community. You know, we talk about the 7 counties are so hard to be have in our service area, but we've got tentacles in 7 counties. That means 7 elected boards of commissioners, 7 elected boards of education. That means numerous legislators, numerous state senators, and y'all have the record to justify any amount of money that's needed for this community. I mean, I can tell you, I've never seen a county commissioner board flinch when we come forward and had a need for this community or these colleges. They may not be able to do instantaneous give us the money, but they work it into their capital improvement projects. And we've been very blessed because of what you do and the product that you turn out in this community.
So I appreciate you telling us the story of your daughters and how they all had the influence from a COA educator or someone on staff. And I love the story that you told about your own youth, misguided as it may have been, and the person that spoke to you in the hallway. So you've known a lot of us through the years, faculty, staff, students. How do you think students perceive faculty and staff in casual interactions? You said to these folks that they are COA when they go into the community. Do you think they have influence in the Food Lion and the Walmart and the church parking lot as well as they do here in COA?
Absolutely. You are part of the community. I remember as a child, when I went to the grocery store, I hope my mother didn't run into one of my teachers. Because I guess you can infer that I was not the best student ever. But on a positive note, we would run into our teachers and educators in our community. And they were considered pillars of the community where I grew up in Currituck. And that's probably the same in Perquimans, probably the same in Pasquotank. So you are carrying the legacy. You are COA out in the community. And it's very important that we protect that legacy. And always think, is that something I want to see on the 6 o'clock news before you do something? Because you are COA. And I'm proud of it.
Yeah. Does anybody have any questions for Paul?
I do.
Uh-oh. Yes. Board member asking a board member.
I'm a has-been.
Paul, with all your years of working with COA, how do you see the institution in 5 or 10 years down the road?
Well, with what I see coming with the new buildings that have just been built and those that are coming online, I see COA becoming more and more integral in the future. If any of you that are a little bit, we'll call you seasoned, meaning you're a little bit older, you'll remember in the communities growing up, there was a lot of factories and mills and different ones in communities. You could go through Hertford, there'd be mills. Elizabeth City, we had different things going on here. Then it kind of all just disappeared. And all of our manufacturing and jobs went offshore, went to China with these trade agreements, went to Mexico, went to all these other countries because of the cheap labor. But now there's kind of an awakening in our country where we see we can't depend on China for everything that we need. We can't depend on these other foreign countries. So I'm starting to see an awakening of bringing some of our manufacturing and different things back into America, into North Carolina, into northeastern North Carolina. So I see COA and other community colleges with the training that we provide, customized training that we can provide to a large employer. With those different things happening, I see COA becoming more and more integral into our economy and into our service area here in northeastern North Carolina. Every county, when they go and meet with somebody looking to locate a business, COA should be in their toolbox. That should be one of the things they throw out there. We can provide customized training, no matter what it is you want to do. If you locate in our area, we have the ability, we're fast, we're flexible, and we're friendly. And we'll provide the training for whatever it is that you need when you locate here. So I see it's growing and growing, and we just got to always remember it's about the students. Keep the main thing, and that's the students.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Mr. O'Neill? Your answer reminded me, I mentioned to you all that we were just named the #1 community college system, but North Carolina was named the #1 state for business because of its business-friendly climate and policies and procedures. So I think that's encouraging for us too. We should have more folks relocating here for that purpose. So I have one more question before I let you get off the stage. What's next for Paul O'Neill?
Rest and relaxation.
I think he deserves it. How about you?
Thank you.
Very quickly. And then Dr. Carter's going to make an announcement. We're going to go on with the rest of our day. So a couple more things to give away. I got sidetracked and didn't do it earlier. Who met the most interesting person over the summer? Who did you meet in your travels? Did anybody meet anybody famous or? Paul doesn't count. If you met Paul, that's anybody meet anybody? Anybody? All right, so that one's a flop. Who went the most interesting place? Some of you traveled widely. Where'd you go? Shout it out. Alaska? Vegas, Jamaica. Jamaica, man. Can anybody top that?
I think that's the one.
We'll give a travel bag. Whoever said that, come on down, or Tammy will get that to you. All right, so who was hired? We had the most long tenured person. Who's today is their first day? Do we have anybody this is your first day? That's 2 of you?
We got 2 of them today. 2 of us.
Well, I'll just do both of these then. Come on. Welcome. Just so y'all know, we don't have Chick-fil-A every day. We don't have food trucks on campus every day.
But we should.
It would be nice. I think the foundation, welcome, glad to have you. All right, Dr. Carr, do you have an announcement?
I just wanted to say we are meeting here at 1 o'clock so that we can social distance.
The faculty session's in here. All right, Valerie, anything? Good to go. Food trucks are ready. If you don't have your tickets, make sure you get your tickets. Thank you all for your attention. Let's have a great year. Thank you.